Kayla Mahon is a singer, songwriter, instrumentalist, music teacher, and nurse from the South Island of Aotearoa, New Zealand, who has released music in the duo The Heartleys. And as a solo artist, she has been releasing singles steadily since last year. She now has an album, Right on the Money, which is a varied range of experiences and emotions and vocal styles from her. And I think it's wonderful. So I'm going to talk to her about it. Hello, Kayla.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me again.
It's great to see you again and to talk about this album, which is technically your debut album,
Hmm.
but you have released albums before with the Heartleys, as I mentioned. However, did it feel like you were learning new things with this album?
Absolutely. I feel like this is the dream album I've been wanting to do since I was a little girl because it's been me creatively, like all original music, my story to tell, my skills in learning how to songwrite and vocally how to portray these songs in a different way for each track. It's been my solo debut album that I've been dreaming of, as I said, for a long time.
So it's interesting you said you've been dreaming of it since you were a little girl, because that's a long dream to have and to not give up on, actually. So were there any moments where you thought, oh, this is just never going to happen?
Oh, absolutely. Things change when you become a mum. I was in the Heartleys and then I fell pregnant, had my beautiful Georgia, and I regained some confidence and a bit of fire back in the day when she was 2 and I did X Factor in New Zealand. So that brought a little bit more momentum in my career again. And then I had Harley, and I feel like the last 5 years have been committed to my children more so, which is fantastic. I love them, and doing a lot more music teaching as well. So I've always had my hand in the music all the time, but just not for myself. And then I just felt like there was a bit of a music hole in my heart that wasn't there, and I thought, right, I don't think I'm too old for this. I see other people out there smashing their goals and they're my age, and I just thought, right, I need to just give it another shot. And I'm so pleased I did.
Yeah, and so am I, and I'm sure many other people are too. When you decided to go on the X Factor, did you see it as a way of giving you that momentum? You're like, okay, I'm if I commit to this, then I've got to do it, and that'll push me on.
It really was that moment of, am I worthy? Am I good enough?
Mhm.
That self-doubt in me going, well, I'm a mum now. Like, does that mean everything's over?
Right.
And I did X Factor. It was probably the most nervous thing I've ever done in my whole life. And I stayed really true to my country roots, and I wore my boots, I wore my dresses, I made all my songs that were pop into country. I took a risk because country music definitely was not part of their genres and radio here in New Zealand. So it was a character self building exercise for me that did give me the exposure that I didn't think I'd get. Making 20 top 24 was really great. But it just gave me self belief again that actually I do deserve to be doing my music and to be heard, I guess.
Hmm. And you said that when you became a mum, you were thinking, oh, should I be doing this anymore? Do you think that was sort of subconscious conditioning that you had picked up on, that now that you have a mother, you should devote yourself to your child and a creative pursuit is too frivolous, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. There's always that you sort of struggle with as a mum. You want to put 100% into them, but you soon start to realize that when you do your own dreams, how much it rubs off on them. My
Mhm.
kids are also so passionate and driven about what they want to do. Harley's right into his motocross. He's a great little motocross rider at 6. And Georgia is a beautiful singer. She's got aspirations and dreams to be like her mom. And I'm like, I'm winning now. I'm doing this all for the right reasons.
Yeah. And that must be so cool to have your daughter want to be just like you.
I know. I'm her hero now, but let's just wait till she's 16.
Yeah, so just record her now whenever she says that to you, just play it back.
Yeah. Um,
I don't, but having a 6-year-old on motocross, I don't know if is your heart in your mouth most of the time when he's riding?
oh my gosh, he is so quick and he can ride that bike. But yeah, I'm just fretting with going, oh gosh, because I'm a nurse as well, and I'm like, I just see people coming with accidents, and yeah, I'm definitely a bit scared.
Well, at least You can treat him quickly if it happens. No, no, no. We won't even talk about it. Instead, we'll go back to talking about the album Right on the Money. How long did it take to create this album from the time you wrote the first song to the time it's been released?
About 2 years. I started writing for about good 8 or 9 months before I went to Nashville to record. That process of the writing was actually what made me want to record in the first place, because I had songs that I thought were worthy to be recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the songs. But if I hadn't done that writing, I wouldn't be on this journey right now. I had no desire to sing anybody else's songs.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a real moment for me to go, oh my gosh, I've got songs and I want them to be heard, and I've got something to say now in this life.
Do you feel that during the writing process, you were just unlocking parts of yourself that perhaps you had put aside because you thought, maybe I shouldn't do this. I don't know if it's going to work out.
Oh yeah. I really opened my heart out on my sleeve a bit with my album. Home on the Vinyl is a very personal song about struggles with depression when I was younger. And I remember ringing my mum up when I was at my lowest, and I said, Mum, can you please bring in the old music that we used to listen to when I was a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Did, and I spent a good week listening to all the old music that I used to love singing along to as a kid, and it was part of my healing process. So Home on the Vinyl, when you listen to that, you'll feel that emotion when I sing it. I hope you do.
Oh no, I absolutely do. It's the last track on the album, and it is one that takes you by surprise, I think, when you get to the end of the album, because we've had this journey through various parts of your life, and then this one has, yeah, there's such sweetness in it though, as well as melancholy, I think.
Yeah, it's got that melancholy feel, but I love it because it's quite traditional. I do love my traditional country, and you'll find in the album, with Man That Doesn't Like Country, you got that true country sound, and Home on the Vinyls like that as well. And then I've just got thrown in the like country rock and sass and Little Man's about my wee boy and how fearless he is. Like, I'm just so proud of what I've done.
And you should be, because it is a lovely album. I think there's something for everyone to take away from it. But just staying on Home on the Vinyl, it raises the idea of music as medicine, because that's what it sounded like for you. And I'm curious whether anyone's told you that your songs have helped them.
When I do live performances, my whole aim is to connect with my audience. And I know lots of artists aim for that, but for me, I'm very proud to know that there's people that come up to me that relate to my songs, and they're crying and they're going, I totally loved that song you wrote about the angels. I've got a story about that myself. And I know that I can connect with people on a deep level. And I love that part about my performing.
Mm-hmm. And I know that live performance is important to you, and you launched the album with a big live show. So I'm guessing that went well.
Yes, it was so amazing. The launch show was at my hometown. I had a beautiful crowd, and it was just everything I dreamed of. Such an appreciative crowd that was there for me. And, when you get alcohol and tables and stuff, and you sort of worry about, the concentration factor with your crowd, but they were amazing. They were totally 100% there for me and the people that were singing on my show. And I couldn't have asked for a better moment.
Were your kids there?
Absolutely. Georgia was singing.
Right.
And my 7 nieces I teach, they all performed as well. And I also like to encourage other people performing. So I had some artists on there that are sort of up and coming. I'm all about, sharing the gifts of music with everyone, and trying to help others as well.
I was going to ask if your nieces were on there, because I remember that they're in a group with Georgia and you teach them singing. And so it's very much a family enterprise.
It is. And they've got an EP coming out soon. We've been doing some recording, and there's going to be 6 original tracks, and some of the kids have written on there, and it's going to be pretty fun.
So are there any songs that you wrote when you were over in Nashville for this process that didn't make it onto the record?
Yes, there are, and I really want to do them. I've got about 3 that I just itching to record. So I am back on the wagon of looking at recording and just keep going step by step. Yep.
Well, I know that you're in your music space at home there. So look, it could be set up as a recording studio.
Oh, it could be if I had the money.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yes, there is a lot of equipment required. What was the song that was the most fun to record?
Most fun would probably Man That Doesn't Like Country.
Okay.
Yeah,
So let's talk about that song because I believe it is about your husband.
it is. He he doesn't like country music, which is very funny because I am a country artist.
Mhm.
He's always been open about that when we started dating when I was 20. And I said to him, well, I don't mind that, but just never stop me doing what I love and what I do. And he's been exactly that. Like he's so supportive, never has a comment about anything because he
Mhm.
doesn't know, which I love. And he's smothered in country music though, because my daughter sings it and my whole family. So he tolerates it, but he'd rather listen to rock.
So he hasn't been converted at all.
Oh no, you wouldn't hear him put on a country ass. It annoys me because I want to go to all these country concerts, but he
Yeah.
just doesn't come. I go with everybody else.
But do you go with him to rock gigs?
Yeah, probably not. So it probably works both ways. I have no interest in going to some of the things he does, but I mean, but I love going to anything music. He'll give and take.
Right. Yeah, well, I was about to say, I think it's only fair that you do not go to rock gigs if he doesn't go to country gigs.
Yeah.
But being a musician, I'm sure that you get curious about performance in general.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So the other song that's about him is the title track, Right on the
Yes.
Money. So which one came first out of those two when you wrote?
Oh, gosh, thinking back. I think it was Man That Doesn't Like Country because it sort of is a bit cheeky about him. And I'd also written another song on my last EP called New Tricks about how much he annoys me at home, like just not like making the bed properly and, all those house chores things. And I thought, I really need to write a song that actually shows I like it.
Yeah.
So I wrote Right on the Money because when we were in our 20s, we fell in love when we were out in the old classic cars with our friends, traveling the countryside and listening to music.
Mhm.
And that is what it's about, falling in love with him when I was that young.
Were the classic cars a thing, as in like you both love them?
Oh, absolutely. If we could have classic cars, we'd buy them, but they're so expensive. My dad actually restores and repairs classic cars, so he's got a lovely collection of cars and stuff that I use a lot for my video clips. For Right on the Money, you'll see some of my dad's cars and my dad's mates' cars in that clip. Yeah.
Oh, that's handy to be able to borrow dad's cars. And yes, they are expensive because it's the maintenance, from what I understand, for the classic cars.
Oh,
Parts aren't that available anymore.
and they're definitely very pricey these days.
So you mentioned the song Angels, and if I'm correct, that's about your grandfather?
Yes, the start of the song is about my granddad singing how great thou art to all of his family when he was about to pass. So it's a very special song, and that's one song I find people do really relate to when I sing it live. I guess they go into that times where they've said goodbye to their loved ones, and that song is super precious. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult to write it at the time? Because obviously it is very, very personal, very emotional.
I got to write it with Jenny Mitchell. She's an amazing songwriter. She's also from my hometown, Gore, and she was the best person to write it with. I I wouldn't say I cried at the time when I wrote it, but when I listened back to it in the car that night, I cried, bawled my eyes out, and I think that's when it really hit home was that this song meant so much once I'd written it.
Mhm.
And when I was in Nashville recording it, I went into the studio and I started to sing it. And then I just sobbed and cried and I couldn't finish it because there's this little trinket box sound in there about the wee girl who's passing and her mum's there with her. I was a mess, absolute mess. And I came out of the studio and I had to do this breathing technique with my producer just to sort of calm myself down. And then I went back into the studio and I did this real calm breathing. And I actually did it from the first take. So that Angel's Biting Time is not pieced together. It is just fully um my moment, which is
Right.
really cool.
Yeah. Had you tried any of those breathing techniques before, or you hadn't
Uh,
needed to? Right.
that was the first time that I'd had, and it was all about just it's almost like taking the wind out of you, like
Mm,
breathing and getting all that air out. So when you listen to Angels Biting Time, it's a vocal that I didn't know I could do.
mhm.
Very angelic and breathless and completely not what I usually sing like. So that was a real moment of, wow, is that actually me singing that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I suppose there is a sense sometimes of you channeling a vocal, especially if the song is has a particular subject matter, I would imagine.
Oh gosh, yeah. I wear my heart on my sleeve and anything like that, I'm just a mess. But I think when you write songs and they're very, very personal, the more you sing them, the more you do, you can get to the point where you can sing them live. But you've got to go through those processes at home. Like I've written a song about my best friend just fighting breast cancer, and that's going to be a song that I'll be releasing later in the year. And I couldn't sing it for weeks. I'd sing it and I'd sing it. And then I sang it in front of her over a year ago. And that was a real moment. It was so I really do put myself in situations of real heart wrenching stuff.
Mhm. But I suppose that is part of the role, as difficult as it is, especially as you said, you want to share experiences with people and that connection that you have with the audience. I suppose it's the rub of it, really, isn't it? You can't have that connection without being the artist you are, without being authentic and singing from the heart. But there is a bit of a price sometimes.
Oh, yeah, there is. And being vulnerable, I think people connect to really well. Um, I put my vulnerability out on the line quite a bit in my shows, and I'm completely authentic in me. And I don't want to change that for anything because I find a lot of people enjoy my shows because I am like that. And yeah, I'll just tell them my whole story if I have to. And yeah, it's just that's what I love to do.
You mentioned writing the song with Jenny. Was that you approaching her after you'd started it, or had you actually set up a co-writing session and that's what came out?
Well, it was funny enough because years ago, Jenny used to look up to me when I was in the Heartleys, and she always says that I was a big inspiration for her. And then it's kind of like full circle. I fall off the music track, she gets on. And anyway, she ended up being a mentor for me through APRA. And I was really stoked because I know Jenny, and she
Mm.
actually helped me through this album process immensely. And during that time of mentorship, she said, "Hey, do you want to write a song?" And I was like, "Yes, I absolutely do." So Jenny's been a big part of building my confidence back up and getting back into the industry. And she's much, a good 10 or plus years younger than me.
Mm.
And but as she said, it's full circle. Like, yeah. So it's been so lovely to have her help.
But I also think it's great that you open yourself up to that help, because some artists in your position would think, well, I've done this before. I've released music. I've toured. I've been on TV. I know everything. So, what's in your background that leads you to have beginner mind, for lack of a better term?
Oh goodness, that is a very interesting question. I guess I'm just truth to myself that I don't know anything like I used to. When I was doing music ages ago, social media wasn't a big part of it. It was so different. And then you go into a world of social media and promoting yourself as an independent artist. I just felt so lost. And I was open to anybody giving me advice and support. So I don't know, like maybe it's because I'm a teacher as well.
Right.
I teach
Okay.
older people, I teach people in their 60s, I teach people when they're four. So I've got a real open mind about new beginnings for even girls my age learning to sing and play. And I'm encouraging, I put gigs on them for them to sing. So I think that's probably a real strong place where I get that from.
Mhm.
Mm.
Because it is weird if we step back and think about the idea that you need to be under a certain age to put out music or achieve things. It's kind of weird, really, because obviously the more life you live, the more stories you have to tell. But culturally, there is that pressure of or achieve everything by a certain age. So I do think country is a genre where you can be any age and release your debut album.
And thank goodness for that, because I'm not 20. But I feel like I've aged with wisdom with my writing, and even my voice has changed so much since I was 20. There's just so much more different depth to my voice, and I think age well,
Yeah.
run with it.
Age well, and then you have great stories to write, to put in your
Yeah,
songs. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I have a lot more to say now.
Yeah. And you mentioned that this album was a dream from when you were a girl. So now the dream is realized. The album is out there. You've mentioned that there's some new music coming, but have you shifted to a different dream?
I would just love to be out performing more live. That's been my main goal from the very beginning of getting music out, is to get a profile where I can be out performing live.
Mhm.
So getting over to Australia, I'm actually like booked to come to Tamworth now. I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. And I said to Dad, should we go to Tamworth? He's like, yes. So I'm like, now what do I do? I'm like, I'm coming to Tamworth. Now what do I do? So that's going to be a whole new adventure for me to hopefully be able to sing a little bit over there. And I'm just working on shows. Like, my aim is to get this music out, but perform live and take risks to put shows on like I am, and just not doubting myself. If I get to sing in front of 20 people or 100 people, it doesn't matter. It's that they are there for you, and I want them to feel everything I say. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my goal. Live music.
So, like, yeah, live music, obviously, we all know took a hit during the pandemic. I'm not going to work that subject, but I'm more interested in what the live music scene is where you live, and whether you feel the venues are there to offer you those opportunities, or because I think you're doing some house concerts. Is it more about you making those opportunities?
Definitely making them. Down here in Southland, it's a lot of the time the music is in bars and stuff like that, which I've done my time and my dues in bars. So it's me creating venues where I can perform, where you're getting that attention from the audience to create a show. So I'm just looking for different venues, different people to be part of these shows, and play with other musicians. Like, I'm not all about me. I actually just want to be able to perform with others and love music.
Mm.
And and that's what I love the most, like getting a cranking band and getting my mate Simon on the other side of me playing guitar and harmony. Like, I love that.
Well, and I think it's also not just about your band. You are so enmeshed and central to the music community where you live, whether it's your nieces and your daughter or the local country music club. So it seems to me that you're just generally a community-minded person.
Yeah, I definitely am. I have everybody else's interests at heart as well when it comes to their music, and I've always been that way. So giving anyone the opportunity to shine, I'm there cheering them on, and um, I feel like, yeah, I'm a big part of that music community. Definitely where I am. I have about 40 students, and I just want them all to be amazing. And yeah, so definitely a big part of the community when it comes to music.
Yeah. So are there any shows for you coming up, or that you're still in the planning stages for things?
Yes, I've got a show here down in Invercargill, which is south. Start of August. I'm actually up for the More FM Radio People's Choice Award, which is going to be next week. And I haven't heard yet, but I'm fingers crossed I've got Single of the Year, hopefully finalist in the Southland Awards, but I haven't heard yet. So yeah, there's a bit going on. I've got some other shows lined up, and obviously now I'm going to be planning Tamworth. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, and there's a bit going on generally between running your household, being a parent, 40 students, and working as a nurse. And you have had time to create this lovely album right on the money. So, Kayla, it's been so lovely to talk to you about it, and hope to see you in Tamworth.
Thank you so much. I enjoy our chat.